Mick, thanks for your time.
No worries, Robbie.
Oh, crikeys. Didn't see that happening on Sunday night. What happened?
No, exactly. Our prep was good. We gave it a great deal of thought. We had a lot of time up our sleeve, which is not always great, but you don't mind sort of long stretches during the season, but not early in the season. So, I just hope that we didn't play our game beforehand. I don't think we did. Our training was really good, and I thought our model to go into the game was quite sound. But they proved the week before against Hawthorn how good they were. So we knew we were in for an absolute big game, but we just didn't even get a look in, and there's a lot of disappointment, but I think that's one of them, is we didn't put enough pressure on them on the scoreboard at any stage to actually think that we can get back in the game. So you live and learn. Life goes on. I think we can dwell too long and often about what's happened in the past without sort of now focusing on the rebound. And with a 6-day break, you've got to now start focusing very quickly onto the next game.
Crows had a poor effort. Well, they have all year in patches. Port below par on the weekend. Your guys was one that you couldn't see out the blue. How much of these poor efforts, if you like, we've all played in teams that have had them, are mental?
I think mentally most games, look, it certainly overrides any physical stuff. Let me just say, Essendon are a very, very good football side, and I think that, certainly I would like to think that we're not 80 points behind them, but and then you say, well, how did Adelaide go? They played a very good football side. And how did Port go? They played a very good, desperate football side, and Port have been up for a long time. So I think it is, the human factor, those that have actually played at that level, you guys know, and neither of you coach, but there is, at that level, but it's, until you have, you understand that it's basically mental. You have the talented players with the skill level and the game plan, but then it gets down to straight mental preparation and mental strength, and then when you're challenged, the ability to rise again. And as I said to my boys, there's no sin in failure, but the test of a man is to be able to get off the canvas, and you may get knocked down again, but it's the test to get up again, and that's all mental. So, Rowie, you're right. There's so much mental level of mental fatigue or mental application or mental stress or mental application that you have to be a decent footballer or a decent sportsman for any length of time.
Hey, Mick, what does the stat sheet tell you? I think it was 29 inside 50s was the one.
Sure. Sure. We couldn't get our hands on it.
Yeah.
We could not get our hands on the football, and when we did, we gave it back to them. Look, I'm only repeating what everyone knows, so there's no secret to this. The stats in these cases don't lie. We didn't get the football, and when we did, we kicked it and gave it back to them. We had two blokes that kicked 2 goals. The others were singles. We didn't look like having any of our keys kick multiple goals. Our mediums to smalls didn't look like kicking multiple goals. Our mids just didn't work at the same level as Essendon. So there's so many things that we can say about that game, and it's really, fortunately, we've got a shorter break to get over it and get back into at least another game. Regardless of who we play, as long as we play with passion and remember what we're there for, and that's for our supporters, and we let our supporters down.
I saw the leadership group, Mark Murphy, go into the room after the game and discuss it as a group. Did the players come up with an answer or come up with a reason or anything come out of that?
There's a lot come out of there. This is not the first time. You've probably done it yourself as a leader. You've got the groups, the group together.
Absolutely.
And it happens. I think some of the press just don't get it, that these things happen quite frequently, and sometimes they happen when you've had a good win, because you don't want to get caught up in that sort of stuff. So I'm very happy that was instigated by Mark and his leadership group. Yep. I'm very contented with the fact that when they walked out, they had some resolve in regard to what they have to do as a group. I always say this doesn't equate to victory. What it does, it gives you a chance of victory. So what we say out of this group is that the measuring tool to me is the action. And as I say, I'm delighted with what's come out. I'll be further delighted if we can measure up to that action.
You were quoted as saying you pray it's a one-off. My question there is, what if it's not? And when do you as a coach realise maybe they're not good enough, and would you ever tell the group?
One is, the first question is, yes, I pray it's one-off. Two is, when do you... I reassess my side every week. Every week to see where they sit within the 18. And, just a gentle test, just a really gentle test is, and I've said this to you, I think, Rowie, I, without replacing players, I asked myself how many of the opposition could play in our side. How many of our side could play with the opposition? It gives you, and you've got to be really brutally honest with what you see and how you rate your players and how you rate the opposition. And sometimes that is quite distorted, either way. Sometimes it's very even, and you expect an even contest. Then it gets down to your fitness, and there's a few other bits and pieces, coaching, the styles, and all this sort of stuff. The last one is, if it happens again, well, you've got to get off the floor again. The sun will rise next day, although the way the rain is, which is fantastic. We won't see the sun for a few days, but nonetheless, the next morning is the dawn of a new day. You get up, you go again. I didn't expect not to get criticised. I didn't expect not to be, the venom that is given to Carlton and myself is expected, and that's going to keep going. But at some stage, there will be a day when it becomes lighter, and we will hopefully be able to say, look, this is what we've done, this is how we go. Are we stronger because of those losses? Yes, we've got to be. If you survive that, you get stronger, and life's like that. The rear vision mirror is very narrow. If you keep looking in it, you're going to run into something else that you don't expect. I'd rather be looking at the rear vision mirror now is that we've played and lost. Now we've got to look at the windshield and go, okay, what's in front of us, and let's go with it.
Collingwood, when you coached them, brought a certain amount of pressure, no question. Very impatient they are as supporter groups. Our Crows fans over here are the same, so too Port Adelaide. Now that you've tasted a little bit of this with Carlton, where do they measure up? Because they're impatient, Mick.
Yeah, I don't see Carlton supporters any different than the other. They are born Carlton, they bleed Carlton, They will die Carlton, and it doesn't matter. So I think the most important thing is that we always remember where supporters fit into the football club. It is not bricks and mortars. The members, to me, are the most important people of a football club. They choose the board by ballot. The board choose administration, who choose the coaching. We owe it to our supporters, our members, that are there all the time for us, that we owe them a light that is shining, and they say, right, we know where we're heading. Now, on the weekend, it was dismal. There's not one argument, one way. It's all downhill from that about that game. But at some stage, you can take stock and go, okay, now we've got off that plane of that game. Now we're going forward. We've got to give our supporters the opportunity to see a new beginning. So just getting back to it, this is not the first time. If you're in the game long enough as a coach, and I don't want to keep preaching the fact, I've been in it 40-odd years and 30 as a coach. I've seen their highs and lows. I've seen the beltings that people will get in the press and all that sort of stuff, and the vendettas and the agendas that have been given. But at the end of the day, we know that was not good enough. So our role is to bounce back, and sometimes it takes time. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's just you just get up and grow up, and you take that and you take the next game. I don't think Melbourne are going to be any less important to their game. They want to win. So we're going to play a desperate side. There's going to be two desperate sides out there. There's going to be only one winner, the way I see it. Yep. And I hope it's us, but it could be Paul Roos in Melbourne. But nonetheless, while you're in the competition, you cannot lay down. I've never laid down in my life, and I have no intention of doing it now. Beautiful.
Mick Malthouse, thanks to North Point Toyota. I've got a solution for a mental lift for the group and the club. You need to get Bryce Gibbs to announce his commitment to the club this week. Bang. He just has to sign.
Yep, I don't disagree. I think I might have said to you last week too, I've never seen a player play better because of the uncertainty, but I've seen a lot of players not play to their potential. And we've seen that too often. That's his choice. You can only say it once, and I've said that to him, that decision making sometimes lifts the burden off the shoulders. I'm not about to. Again, I'll say I'm not on my knees here. I would never be on my knees. You either make the decision or you don't make the decision. But while you're contracted with the football club, I'll pick you on performance. So, and I'm not going to. And if the player came out and said to me secretly, "Listen, I'm going somewhere else," that's not going to stop me playing that player, because I see the contract as a contract for that period. I'll be disappointed, but I was bitterly disappointed that Eddie Betts went. But it's the system. So I've no less got any more less admiration for Eddie Betts, but I'll be very disappointed in Bryce if he does go. But nonetheless, I don't expect him to come to me during the week and say, "Oh, guess what? I'm going over to Adelaide." I expect him to front up to his responsibilities this weekend and play damn good football for us.
Hey, Mick, did the heart rate monitor survive?
You know, I forgot to put it on. You know, it was almost inconvenient when I went on. I thought, I've never really I wore one in a grand final in 1994.
Yep.
And it was always little electrodes stuck to my body and this sort of stuff, and it was more a science thing for our director of science at the time. And I thought, it's harmless. You know, it's not going to impact on me. That one, when it went on, I thought, oh, God, this is what the players wear when they do all their running. But then by the time I don't know, certainly before I went in the race, I'd forgotten it was even on. And the bloke said to me after, "Oh, could you give me whatever you got on?" And I said, "No, geez, I thought I even had it on." So anyway, and quite frankly, I don't even know what the results are.
Oh, don't you? I saw you at 120 at one stage. I just wondered what you might have peaked at, whether you got over the 200 mark.
Oh, no, I would never do that, because I've got a pretty low heart rate.
Anyway.
And even at my best, even on the stress tests, I've had a couple of stress tests through my time, and, you know, I'm lucky to get over 140. So
really?
Yeah.
Gee.
So I failed a stress test.
Elite athlete. Hey, you talked about Melbourne. Paul Roos gave Dean Turlick a huge spray in the public eye on the field. Can coaches still go down that path, do you think?
Emotional game, really.
Yeah. Look, I love it. Crockies, I got that many from Craigie and Cornsey and Neil Barber. Was it funny?
Oh, mate, I made a massive mistake in one of my very first games. The coach used to sit on the boundary, as you're probably aware in those days. And enthusiastic. God, here I am. I'm running into the brace, and I'm first there, and I've copped the biggest barrel of all time. And I remember Cowboy Neil to me and he said, "Son, this is the first lesson. Don't ever get in there first."
Made a kiddie mistake, Mick.
Oh, dear.
So I know. I've copped them, and I've given them, and Roosy's given one, and you know what? If you can't be emotional,
correct,
if you can't demonstrate that. You know, people think, "Oh, geez, he's nuts in the box." I can only coach emotionally, and I've always coached emotionally. And if it's wrong, it's wrong. If Roosie was wrong, so be it. But I don't see that wrong. I just see that as just raw emotion, wanting to get the best out of his team and the best out of that particular player.
Hey, Mick, talk about emotions. Mitch Clark, I guess you're up with the news. It just announces his retirement.
It's so sad.
Yeah.
That is just so sad. You know, Bone, I really do wonder how many other players are in a similar position, but haven't quite probably just gone to the edge like that. And I feel I don't think it's unique that he's done it now, because the injuries clearly got to him at the end. But I just think, I wonder how many other players have been or are in a very similar position that don't. You know, men have got this habit of keeping things to themselves, and, you know, they go with the club with a smiley face, but deep down you can read through their eyes that they're really, really struggling with a lot of things in the football community and about themselves and this sort of stuff. And, you know, that's what I say about people. We've got to be very careful about attacking people from outside, thinking that they're another number of a football club. They've got family.
Mm.
They've got a mum and dad. Some have got wives and kids. You know, we don't want to tip people over. We don't need to be as aggressive at people, but we can be aggressive at what they do. You know, suggestions. But I've been, again, I say, I've noticed in the last 15, 20 years of my coaching, and I wasn't probably skilled enough early days, but I reckon I can pick players pretty quickly that they're really struggling with certain aspects of life.
Yep.
And I'm no expert, so you've got to get the experts in and really get your doctor involved and other people involved. this is.
They in place at Carlton?
Big pardon?
Have you got them at Carlton? Is there
I don't think there'd be any club that would be immune to having people who are stressed and slightly depressed.
Yep.
That can swing either way depending on how you handle situations. I think our doctors and people have trained now far greater in that capacity to actually pick up where people sit in there, and I think players have now got far more vehicles to go to be, they can go to the AFL without anyone knowing at our football club. They can go to our psychologist anytime. They can go to our doctor. And I think you'll find that most clubs have got one or two players that do struggle, get by without notice, but do struggle.
Mick, thanks again for your time. Carlton started 0-3 last year, made the finals. It's not all lost. All the best Saturday versus Melbourne. We'll speak to you next Tuesday with the winner's cap on, Mick. Thanks for your time.
Look forward to it, guys. All the best. Thanks
Good
for
on
your
you,
help.
Mick.